A water spirit sees a girl in a red out on a rainy day. The spirit and girl meet and meet again, slowly beginning to fall in love. Yet the rain fails to end. It is flood season, and the people beseech the local god to stop. Hello and welcome, Lynx here, and we are sitting to another game from Ren'Py. This year I believe, have not touched any games from said dev, but I would say we ended the last year on a strong note with quite a few of those games. So today we are sitting to another one, and that one has been created quite a while ago, but also has been updated, I think, quite a few times since then as well. Released in 220 in March. Well, that kind of checks out. We are playing it also in March. Actually, it might be on the YouTube in April, but I'm recording it in March. It's been updated in March as well. A Yuri Eastern fantasy visual novel created for NaNoRen'Py 220. Which gives me the idea that NaNoRen'Py might be coming soon. Oh boy. And here we were catching up with the games from each. Anywho, tender feelings like water, let us proceed and see how this story plays out. I came to realize my existence as an individual on a rainy day. I was born of this river as spirit of water. Then, before I knew it, I'd become a lonely existence whose only company was the rain. I love the rain. The Peter Patter it made soothed my ears. I also like the rain. Maybe not like standing in the rain for a long period of time, but I like when it rains, I guess, and it doesn't make me wet. Anywho. On rainy days, the river grew, so the place I could go grew as well when I followed the water on the ground. It was on one such a rainy day that I met her, a beautiful girl in red, whose name I had yet to learn. During this time of the year, the rain never stopped falling. Perhaps few like to be outside with my sole companion, the rain. I entered town, only disappointed by its colorlessness. Oof. When would I find any keys to be disappointed? I wondered to myself as I continued through the town, searching for what would clear away those regretful feelings in my heart. Red caught my eyes. Or was it the girl who caught my eyes first? The vibrant color of her clothes, at that moment, I felt as if I had never seen such a thing before. There she was, a girl, in red, under an umbrella, as the rain continued to pour. I approached her in curiosity, putting on a human disguise. Not until I spoke did she notice my presence.
Hello, I couldn't help but notice you out in the rain. Hello, you're out here as well? Aren't you worried about getting wet? No, never mind. I thought that you looked beautiful. Could I accompany you for a conversation, if you're not too busy? If you're so inclined to do so. I've nothing else to do today but watch the rain.
So we stood in the rain and exchanged our first words with each other. What were we to talk about? At the least, we could watch the rain together, listening to my dear friend's quiet hums. Yet I wanted so much to talk to her. This girl in red who stood out so vividly.
So, do you like watching the rain? I do. I don't like the rain, not really, but watching it fall makes me feel like I'm in a world where all my troubles are being washed away. You too are out on a rainy day like this? Are you the same? Yes, I really do agree. It's soothing, isn't it? The rain.
We resumed looking at the rain, quietly, wordlessly. We stood there amidst its pitter-patter. I then realized that I had yet to learn her name.
I seem to have forgotten to ask. What's your name? I should say the same to you. Until you tell me yours, I won't tell you mine, my mysterious conversation partner. Then one day...
I got a little ahead of myself. I couldn't answer her original turnabout of my question onto myself because I had no name. Not really. Was I such an incomplete existence? I simply wanted to know hers.
I'll tell you my name. I look forward to that day.
There we were, two girls on the rain, neither knowing the other's name. After a few more pauses, we began to chat again. Slowly but surely, we talked, mostly about meaningless topics that came to mind. A happiness swelling in my chest that I had found someone who I could talk to. This girl, whose name I had yet to learn, was from this town. She said she liked sweets, spicy foods, not so much. So on and forth. These things I heard from her mouth. I told her a mountain of half-lies, claiming to be from a distant place and visiting this town. The way her eyes circled at my words made me feel as if my lies had been seen through. What a terrible feeling that was. Yet she smiled at me as we talked. I couldn't pinpoint the exact moment that my heart decided that I wanted to meet her again. I could only say that I really did have fun talking with her for the first time.
I've gotten carried away talking with you. I hope I wasn't too much of a bore. No, not at all. That should be my line. The rain is getting heavier.
She stuck her hand out into the rain, feeling the large droplets fall, long, slender fingers. She started but didn't finish. Instead, the expression on her face grew dark. Some masked man, messenger perhaps, approaching in our line of sight. He whose face I could not see disturbed us. I didn't bother listening to his words, which were not directed to me. I knew that he was calling her away, but more importantly, when he came, she no longer spared me a single glance. How vexing that felt.
I'll have to go now.
She said so kindly that I might not have heard her, still not looking at me, but not yet following after the men to leave. I whispered after her in the same way. Would she hear me?
Will we meet again? I suppose we will.
She heard me. She turned to look at me for a brief moment once more, a smile, then she left with the men. Like that, the first of our meetings came to an end. When I stood alone in the rain for a while after she departed, I felt that the rain seemed louder than usual. The silence was quieter than usual.
I mean, we could technically do
this. Anyway. We meet again soon enough. Similar to the first, our second meeting occurred on another rainy day in this season where rain never stopped. The pitter-patter filled our ears with its soft rhythm. I had to confess, although to no one but myself, that I visited town with hopes I would see her. Amidst the sounds of my friends, I heard a humming. Someone singing, so faintly that one should have been able to hear her through the rain. Was the singer even aware that she was singing? Recognizing the voice, I followed the sound of music until I found its owner. Ooh. She, dressed in red, watched the rain listlessly as her lips moved just so slightly to a song without lyrics. I wondered where she gazed as she walked, ripples forming in the water beneath her feet from her steps. Then she stopped singing. An almost empress expression flitted across her face as she noticed my presence.
Good morning. We meet again.
I liked the melody of her voice.
Good morning. What were you singing just now? You heard. yeah. You're a wonderful singer. Don't tease me like that. I can barely sing, even a small, made-up tune like that. I'm not worthy of praise.
She puffed her cheeks like a child. What an odd expression that was. A novel one to see on her face. Old enough, what a fittingly adorable expression that was.
Alright, then I won't speak of that matter. As it should be. Are you watching the rain again today? I am. I've nothing else to do, but on rainy days I can at least do that. Could I accompany you for a conversation today as well? We're already talking, aren't we? My mysterious conversation partner. Oh, you're right, we are.
We quickly fell into the stride, talking once more. I was sure she thought me strange for asking so many questions about what must have been mundane to her. I want to know about the world she lived in and how she lived her life. Had I at some point lost focus as I looked at her? I had. She touched my cheek, jolting me out of whatever stupor I found myself in. Her hand was warm.
You? No, never mind. What is it? It was nothing important.
Seeing her brush away her self-interrupted thought, I didn't think to ask. Oh, I know. You didn't feel like human, did you? When she touched you. I have a feeling, an inkling, that it might have been that. Our conversation continued. When I touched my face for the lingering sensation of her fingers, I realized that my hands were cold. As her current topic came to an end, she paused for a moment.
Open your mouth.
What? I did as she said. As I did so, she placed a piece of something in my mouth. With that something came a novel sensation, a tingly, melty feeling that made my tongue feel warm.
Is it sweet?
That was what it was. Sweet, a word that I had almost forgotten in my surprise.
It's sweet. What is this? I snacked out earlier this morning. It's honey candy.
Yes. 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 I freaking love honey. Anyway, and honey candy.
Your favorite? It's what everyone gives me after I drink medicine. They say it's to get rid of bitterness, but I can't help but taste the medicine from it now. But of course, I still like it.
She seemed happy today. I wasn't so familiar with the bitterness of medicine, so all I could taste was smooth honey as she smiled softly in that way she did. We continued spending the day together, sometimes chatting and sometimes just walking through the rain. Eventually we parted once more. Even after the candy all melted away in my mouth, the sweetness lingered in my mouth. I wondered if it would eventually turn sour, but it never did. The sweetness merely began to fade away after a while. Meanwhile, me also liking sour like sweets. Perhaps she was the same as me in that we had nothing else to do in this world. Can I join the two of you? Time and time again, I met with her during the season of unceasing rain. She seemed always to be idling, and she welcomed my company. We fell into a wonderful, unchanging routine. So I thought naively in my world painted brightly with lies. When had I forgotten what I was? It was another rainy day. My first companion's tears fell so quickly that I could barely catch the rhythm of pitter-patters. Spotting her in the rain in red, I approached. So thoughtlessly I had approached. I was unprepared for her greeting.
I hate the river.
Had she been crying? With the... No, never mind. It's a not important notification on the phone. With the corners of her eyes wrapped red, she said these words that pierced my heart.
Oh! I really hate the river.
Her voice cracked a little. This pained hoarseness didn't fit her.
If only it ever existed.
From the very start, I lied, pretending to be human. She shouldn't have known that I was a river. Yet I still wished to the deities above to block away her voice as she spoke of her hatred of me. The life I fabricated for her, if only I could have lived it instead. I did my best to keep my shaking out of my voice.
What happened? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. No, what is it that made you sad? Whatever the river did it probably deserves to be hated.
First it became that I should never tell her the truth of my existence. I so pathetically cowardly could not bear to become hated. Saying hypocritical words as my tongue stumbled over simple phrases, I found that I was terribly stupid. She didn't even want to hear these words of mine.
Maybe. I'm not sure how to put my feelings into words right now.
We stood quietly in the rain.
Could you hold my hand?
I nodded, unsure if it was okay for me to fulfill her request. I slowly took her hand and squeezed gently. Cold. Her hand was unusually cold. I hoped that maybe my hand would feel warm to her. After a long period of silence, she finally spoke.
I don't think I ever told you about my family.
I nodded, for she hadn't.
My father was a scholar, and my mother was the daughter of a former magistrate.
Damn. Seems like high-placed people. In a way, you were kinda born lucky.
I had an older brother who was studying for the imperial exams.
Imperial exams. Now, I did read that in the beginning, the description that was provided, right? Alright, I got just a bad idea. Because it said an Eastern fantasy visual novel. I don't know why I thought like Eastern Europe for some reason. It didn't make sense at all. Yeah, Asian, obviously. Anyway. Now you are saying imperial exams. What? Anyway.
And I was the pampered youngest daughter.
She described to me an image that I could barely just imagine. This was a story of the past, of a little girl and the people dear to her.
It was my fault that they fattened me up with pastries.
Fattened you up where? A shadow of joy persisted in her voice. The back vents, at the times, those innocent emotions that filled the child she illustrated leaked out.
Favorite daughter, they said. I was their only daughter. Back then, I hadn't appreciated them enough. If I could, I would go back to time to scold myself for being so unfilial. Was there a need to be greedy? Did I really need a prince to sweep me off my feet? Why did I complain about what we didn't have? Our modest life was the best for me. We had been planning to visit to the capital for my brother. But I fell ill at an inopportune time. They left me with a family friend and a part of a dream, saying it could be postponed. Why did I throw a tantrum there?
I didn't say a single word, only squeezing her hand again. I comforted myself in preparation for the ending of the story that I must have already known, yet had forgotten.
In the end, I never saw them again. They got on a boat together by a river, but I thought it was a bad fever dream. But their boat was caught in a storm. It sank and they drowned. I couldn't even cling onto the hope that they escaped and survived because their bodies were found.
Her voice grew painfully soft.
They are the only people who the river has swallowed. Why was the river god so angry that they had to die?
I hadn't even been angry.
I'm also... No, never mind.
I wanted badly to know this time. This confession of hers. That she began yet cut off. This heart-rending choke must have been important. Of course I couldn't ask what she wanted or didn't want to say.
I shouldn't talk about this sort of thing. I'm sorry. You shouldn't apologize. I should thank you, my dear conversation partner, for listening to me speak.
And she didn't know. I could apologize no further. She couldn't know after all. I just hope my expression did not give myself away. All the sorrow she had to face must be my fault. I couldn't remember the events from before I knew I was myself, but the reality the river has drawn people was undeniable and unpreventable. When we parted that day, I realized that I had been holding her hand the entire time. after a day where I was sure she had cried, she did not bring up that matter again. However, I sometimes found myself wondering why her sad memories had struck her that day of all days. I don't know, it happened exactly 1, 2, 3, 5 years ago, basically, something like that. I met no answer. Another day, we found each other again, conversing in the rain. I looked towards her. At a lulling conversation, I couldn't help but voice the thought that had been born in my mind the first time I saw her.
You're beautiful, you know? You say these things as if you aren't.
She reached out her hand to touch my face, caressing my cheek gently. Her hand, soft and warm, made my skin tickle and flush.
When I first met you, remind me of someone I dearly loved before.
Huh? Someone who had drawn before I had formed a sense of self that I did not yet know.
Then I discovered that you are you.
What? Her face came closer to mine than usual. She was looking at me. Her clear eyes reflected nothing but me at that moment. What was the sound in my ear? The beat of my own heart?
I don't regret that.
Surely human beauty was a fleeting thing. Yet what had fallen in my soul was not. An excruciatingly desperate something in my chest to love and be loved. Twisting and curling. I realized that I had fallen in love with her. Having no expectations for a future, I could tell her of my feelings and hold her like a lover. I decided that I should simply want for a continuation of our casual days together. A water spirit falling in love with a human, interesting. If I could ask one question of curiosity.
That person, were they your first love? I know if what I felt for her was romantic love or not, but if it was, then my feelings wouldn't have been allowed.
All I could tell was that the person she spoke of was truly treasured.
But I want to know more about you, my beloved conversation partner. It's like we've known each other for so long, yet I know so little about you. I was end up talking too much. Ooh, I enjoy listening to you talk. As do I to you. Let's talk about you today.
Eee! To those pleading eyes, I could not refuse. For some reason, I thought to myself that I couldn't lie to her today. How odd it was to talk about myself. What weather did I like? I liked rainy days. What food did I like the most? I couldn't quite decide. Some topics I had no answer. Others I learned answers to for the first time as I questioned myself. Had I fallen in love with someone before?
Love? Yeah. What sort of person do you like? Have you met a special someone before?
I hadn't expected her to return my inquiry to me. I paused for a good few moments, thinking that I was looking at the person I loved right before me.
I have a person I like. She doesn't know it, and her identity is a secret.
I couldn't tell her I loved her. A spirit like myself, whose river had taken so much away from her, was in a position to say words like I love you. Even if I could, I fear the pains of rejection. Oh boy. Yeah. The pains of rejections are terrible. The pains of not saying it are worse. Do it. We were friends at this moment. Complacently, I was already satisfied. Yeah, keep telling yourself those lies.
Now you've made me curious and a little jealous. That person is lucky to be liked so much by you.
Puffing her cheeks. If she meant what she said, then I would be overwhelmed with joy. We talked and talked and talked. Eventually these days ended like all days. As I waved goodbye to her departing form, I couldn't help but wish for our time together to last. Forever. And while I was left by myself, my mind still wandered back to the topic of love. There was a famous love story that even I knew of. The story of the cowherd and the weaver girl was about two star-crossed lovers. One, a humble human man, and the other daughter of the heavens. They met and fell in love and eventually formed a family. Yet the girl's parents, the ghosts, decreed that she shall not be with such a human man and tore her away from her husband. What were two lovers but two creatures from worlds completely different? They were two people deeply in love. They were so deeply in love. It may have been the sorrow of the lovers that allowed them to once again meet. Magpies formed a bridge for the pair, allowed to do so once a year. Oh, I know that one. A mortal man and a girl from heaven would stoop cross and meet upon that bridge as lovers. Was love such a powerful thing? Who knows? Returning to my river, the rain continued to fall. This companion's mind was ever present. Just a little. I talked to it and asked it those questions in my mind.
I'm sure even you've heard of this story.
Yet the rain never answered. My taciturn friend, who had been by my side forever, had never once spoken to me in words.
I want to see her again soon.
I sighed as I melted in the river water. As with this time of the year, the rain filled the river up to the brim, making the water rush furiously. Here I was, cooling my head as I traced my lips with a finger.
Her lips were pretty.
I was kind of expecting maybe her to for some reason stand by the river. Anyway, our routine under the rain continued. She, a girl in red, and I, a water spirit, found each other to chat once more. After we exchanged greetings, she started the topic with a sense of unease. I wonder why I thought so. Perhaps it was the way she pursed her lips before speaking, or the tightness of her fingers, but there seemed to be something off. No, I had dug too deeply. What made me feel so was the question itself.
What would you do if you died tomorrow?
Fast render all the videos and put them for publishing? I don't know. What would I do? Could I die? How would I die? These morbid questions sent a jolt of realization through my mind that we would one day have to say goodbye. A goodbye when the rainy season ends and I can no longer come meet her. I did not think of the other form of goodbye even as I voiced it.
Death would mean never meeting again. I would want to.
I pondered on her question, on the answers that weren't answers floating in my mind. I know, because I didn't like to imagine the matter when regarding me and her.
To spend it with someone I love. Up until the very end, I'd like to live a happy life. What if I... No, never mind.
Quiet followed with the sound of the rain. I hated seeing the expression on her face. Tell her to finish her sentence.
I'm sorry, this might be an uncomfortable thing to speak of. No, don't apologize. Did something happen? It's something difficult for me to put into words, but I'll tell you one day.
Before I could speak again, I heard the sound of splashing, feet moving quickly through the wet streets. We looked in the direction of the sound, spotting a masked pair.
I wasn't supposed to have gone out today. They've caught me faster than expected.
The pair looked just like the man with the mask who had taken her away on the first day we met. They spoke in hushed tones to each other and in scolding ones to her. They were going to take her away. Their words toward her brought up anger within me, but she shook her head slightly as she saw my shoulders rise. I didn't listen to their words, not really. Those words not directed to me, of course. I understood that they were taking her away and forcing that painful expression onto her face. As I was present, they said no specifics about what they were doing.
Goodbye.
Uh-oh. Then she was gone. Why did it feel in a way like it might have been the last meeting? Rain continued to fall the day after. As always, I entered town to seek her out and chat, yet from that day on I could no longer find her. The girl in red was nowhere to be seen under the rain. I contemplated my loneliness at the river, pitter-patter. In fact, I was the river, talking in a language of water to only the rain, my once and now more sole companion.
What happened to her?
No matter how much I searched, I couldn't find her. She was surely somewhere I couldn't go. There could be a place as simple as indoors, anywhere my water did not enter. Perhaps she had fallen ill. Maybe she was just busy. What about the people in masks who took her away? At the least, I wanted to know if she was okay.
I want to see her again.
The rain continued to fall. Water droplets hit the ground and the river surface. I talked even when no one could hear me. The echoes of her voice floated to my ears. The warmth of our fingers brushing against each other as we chatted lingered on my soul. These feelings were absent when I talked to the rain.
I'm not alone. But you've never spoken a single word to me, and you'll never respond to me.
What bitter words these were that left my mouth. Should I have apologized when all I could hear from my words were the truth? I didn't. The rain made no move to respond. My heart ached. Slowly but surely. Life reverted to it as it was before I met her. Alone, an entity of just water. With only the rain beside me. I closed my eyes for a moment. During this time of the year, the rain never stopped falling. I discovered a wedding procession heading towards the river. A bride sat within that magnificent sedan. A large dowry followed her, carried chest by chest, seemingly unending. Red. That color reminded me of the girl whose name I still had yet to learn. Why would there be a wedding now of all the times? Why would they head toward the river? Why were people wearing masks like those of who took her away part of this procession? They stopped at the river. There was no groom inside. The bride stepped out of the sedan, face covered with a red veil. A familiar figure. She was getting wet from the rain, water slowly soaking to her clothes. Alone, she acted out a farce of a wedding like a doll. The ceremonial cups by herself, the bows by herself. She performed with the eyes of the people behind her trained onto her form. It was a dead wedding, like the marriage of a concubine to a house. Yet they sent her in red. They sent her with a generous dowry. I have no clue what's going on. That doesn't sound like a wedding, to be honest. I don't know, it sounds maybe I'm going too far with my thinking here, but it sounds like maybe they want to offer her as a sacrifice to stop the rain? Am I thinking crazily? I might be. I want to ask what they were doing. A frustration bubbled in my chest as I watched unseen to them all. Then I heard a voice. No, it was a whisper, so quiet that none heard but me. I knew this voice I yearned for, this voice like the sound of tears.
I don't want this.
What made her so sad? What mad game were the humans here playing? A strong gust of wind blew by, throwing rain to the faces of everyone present and tearing away the veil from the bride's face. The veil flew far, far away. I saw her face. I met her eyes. She did not meet mine. She was, as I suspected, my dearest conversation partner, the girl who I had fallen in love with. Still, she looked away. Even when she could not see me, she did not let me see her pain. The entourage began, a second part of this ceremony. Someone dressed perhaps most elegantly among the group, although all these humans looked about the same to me, started to speak. A marriage to the river, a prayer for flooding to stop. In long-winded words. Dude, I was correct! He described their intentions and the purposes of this charade as if they were doing a righteous act. The extended rainy season, the rising water levels, might have struck fear into these people. She took a few steps forward toward the river as if on cue. Water lapped at her feet.
Don't come closer to the river! It's dangerous!
She couldn't hear me. I hadn't shown myself to her yet. But she stopped. I should have ended this farce now, but for some reason the idea of revealing myself paralyzed me. I didn't want to be hated.
I didn't want
to be hated by her who hated the river.
To die.
This murmur that I barely caught with my ears said die.
What?
She said die. This was what they were doing with this fake marriage. She said die. They were going to kill her. She was going to die.
What?
A buzzing sound filled my ears. I watched as the humans grabbed the girl, trying to drown her. The hand over her nose and mouth, the hands restraining her arms, the hands trying her arms together with waves, the hands pushing her forward to push her down. They were trying to drown her. This feeling was nausea. She was not yet swept away into the rapids near the shallows, into the deep darkness where if she sank she would never resurface. How dare they! How dare they! As if my head would burst, as if I would vomit, the buzzing in my ears intensified. I was angry. I was disappointed. I'm gonna say I was angry. I was pissed like hell. My eyes couldn't look away from the scene. The rain intensified. If they wanted to drown her, then they should all drown as well. I really thought such a thing. Then it should be like they should all drown while she should not. Something broke, perhaps a dying further downstream, and then the river began to truly float. No, what broke was my self-control, but the floodwater still surged. I showed myself taking her from the panic grasps of the other humans and pushing them into the roaring waters that had formed a torrent around where she stood. Honestly, yeah. They were swallowed alive hopelessly. With water around us, she did not dare to look at me. Only when the river receded to what it could from my outburst, the heavy rain slowing, did I realize. I had done the terrible thing. The buzzing in my ears faded, but the heavy anxiety now sat in my gut. I would do the same thing in her situation. Like, oh, you want to put her as a sacrifice? How about you become a sacrifice instead? Sounds better. Anyway.
Are you okay?
I undid the balance on her arms, to think that they had intended to throw her into the river and let her sink. Unable to swim made me angry. The way they handled her left newly forming bruises on her skin.
I'm sorry.
I might have hurt her as well. I must have hurt her as well.
I hadn't expected you to be a god. No, never mind. I'm sorry. I won't confine you again.
She was scared. Her trembling shoulders were because of me. Suddenly, I became scared as well, but this was the end.
Let me send you back to town.
I couldn't let her walk all the way back by herself. If she returned alone, I could imagine what response the townspeople would have when the others had perished in my wrath. Her suffering was not allowed. Taking her back to town, I made my presence known as the river god and demanded that no harm fall upon her. Human sacrifices to the river were unwanted. I was playing God. Then that was it. I returned to the river alone. Eventually, the rainy season came to a close. My first companion departed for different lands, saying not a word to me.
I was alone!
Many days passed. People once more began coming to the river for little human tasks. I continued my time in solitude, trying to forget the feelings of my first love. I never expected to see her again, only hoping that she would live happily and slowly forget the strange spirit she met for one rainy season. That was how the world should have gone, so I closed my eyes for a short moment. I could sleep for hundreds of years and never wake instead of nursing an aging heart.
Are you here?
Getting no response, she picked up a stone and skipped it across the water surface.
Can we talk? You came and found me, I guess. I did. Why'd you save me? If you had just swept me away, like you did to them, then I could be assured that you were the cruel river that I hated, yet you saved me. Even though you're still the terrible river, you're also still my dearest conversation partner! My kindest conversation partner! I never knew anything about you from the start. And you stole away me everything, including my heart.
I made her cry. Oh.
I'm sorry. I love you. Regardless of everything, I love you.
My sight began to blur. I know what was this hot feeling in my eyes. Tears?
I was crying? Why was I crying? I love you too!
And one. Ah, you got blinded by the game. Ow. Alright, so they did get back in a way together. That's nice. Or more like they confessed to each other. We don't know what happened afterwards, but they confessed. That's good. Let's have a look at the other one. I was disappointed. This weird disappointment twisted my gut disgustingly. If only I could just wash these humans away. I could, but I wouldn't. More importantly than anything, I had to save her. The girl I loved. If my cowardice or rage cost me her life, then I would regret this day forever. As we found out, it didn't. I manifested myself to them, prying her from their grasp. The rain lightened, as if telling me to ignore my urges for destruction. The rain became much softer than it had been before. These people had just tried to kill her, stared at me in shock before dropping to their knees and kowtowing. I was a god. I was the river spirit. Therefore, to these humans, I was a god.
The river needs no sacrifices, you punks!
Holding back my desire to scream at them, I spoke simply to this masked man.
Am I not your god? I am a merciful god. Do not do this again. Leave now. I must talk to the girl for a while.
I let them bang their heads to the ground, their voices trembling as they apologized for their angering me before they turned tail and left. I did the bounce on her arms, to think that they had intended to throw her into the river and let her sink, unable to swim. I mean, did she not know how to swim? That's the first question. Also the second part, given the fact she was tied up and so on, she would not be able to swim even if she knew, but whatever. Anyway, made me angry. The way they handled her left newly forming bruises on her skin.
I'm sorry. So you're a river god? I guess I am. You saved me. You said you didn't want to die, and I didn't want you to die.
Then she began to cry, tears flowing from her eyes. She choked on her relief, breathing spasming with hiccups. I told her tenderly until she had let out all of her tears.
Thank you. Do you hate me now? Why? Because I'm the river? No, I don't hate you. I loved you. No, never mind.
Her voice softened at her statement of love. I nearly didn't hear it. My heart began to race. I won't tell it to quiet down because I could barely hear her speak.
I'm still confused what I should feel in this revelation, but I don't hate you. I could hate you, not you. I don't know what to say. I need to think. Time to think. I'll definitely tell you the next time we meet that you'll need to come find me. Next time I'll come find you, so please wait for me.
I was pulled into her determination.
I will.
She needed time to think. I couldn't let her walk all the way back by herself, nor did I want to do such a thing when I could spend even a little longer with her.
May I escort you back to town?
She nodded, so I took her back to town. Revealing my presence to the townspeople, I wanted to assure that she stayed safe. If they dared to try to drown her again, I wouldn't be able to hold back.
Let's meet again. I'll come find you.
After lingering for another few moments, I returned to the river. Eventually, the rainy season came to a close. My first companion departed for different lands, saying not a word to me. I waited for her to come find me. I wanted badly to see her again, yet I had promised to wait for her. So I waited, even if I had to wait hundreds of thousands of days. I would have... Oof. I mean, if you say thousands of days, that would be like 3 years, basically. I would have waited, of course. She didn't make me wait that long.
I always had an inkling that something about you was different. Even so, I like you. I like you for who you are, for who I knew you to be from our short time together. A beautiful girl. Before I knew it, I had fallen in love with you. I love you. I love you too.
My chest felt like it was about to burst. My heart raced, blood flowing to my head. Had I heard her words correctly? Had I voiced my feelings correctly? I loved her so very much, and damn for happiness broke somewhere in my mind.
Can I kiss you?
She nodded bashfully. Warm, soft and sweet, this tender feeling filled up my heart.
I love you.
I want to spend eternity with her. I want to learn much more about her. This love story of ours, I hope for its continual happiness, for it to continue being bathed in tender feelings like water. And 2, you are again being blinded. Oof. Epilogue. This was a conversation we had sometime after the rainy season was well over and the skies had become clear and sunny.
Have you ever heard the story of the cowherd and the weaver girl? I cannot but think that their story and ours is really quite similar. A human goddess who can meet due to a river. I used to think about that story quite a bit.
I wasn't surprised because I knew that she was a secret, or not so secret, romantic. She wasn't very good at hiding things even back when we first met. A complicated expression appeared on her face for a moment. What was she thinking about?
I can't imagine only being able to see you once a year.
Her tongue was so sweet that I was almost flustered.
You're right. Our story has a happier ending.
From there, the conversation moved to the other topics. What would we do in the future? Should we travel or go sightseeing? I mean, kinda very similar things, but how would we explore the things that we, either she or I, had not experienced before? I wondered when I had become so optimistic about the future. Right now, with her, I was happy. She called me by my name, and I called her by hers. Our story wasn't finished yet, and so our time together continued on.
Nice.
Somewhere in the distance, a magpie flew away.
I like that.
Tender feelings like water. Honestly, if I was in the shoes of our goddess, I would again go with the first option when it came to this choice. Without a second of doubt. Even if I was not the goddess, or more like in the goddess's shoes, I would go with the first option. Always. 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 Lovely story overall. A short one, I know. I know! But we have not played this year that many short stories. I feel like we are sticking to a lengthier ones so far. So it's nice to have something like that. I said after playing a few short games in the meantime as well, but yeah. All in all, super cute. I think I know the story that they were talking about with the two meeting, with the goddess and human meeting once a year. Yeah, I know this one. I'm not exactly sure about what story exactly Tender Feelings Like Water over here refer to, because from the description at least, I assume it refers to some story. I mean, then again, it's an Eastern story, so Eastern Asian story. So it kind of, I guess, would maybe make sense that I might not know it, given that I'm not from Asia or Eastern Asia. Still, lovely story. Love in the way, the fact that, you know, with both endings, the girl has been saved and so on, and it did not end terribly. Glad to hear that afterwards the two are in love. They are basically a couple. They plan for the future a little bit and so on and so on. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. Fornoki once again delivered a good game. So far I enjoyed all of them, by the way, yeah. Anywho. Game link to the description as per usual. From the game you can also go to Fornoki's profile on itch.io, of course, and check out other things that were published over there. And yeah, that would be it for the video. Hope you enjoyed. as per usual, consider liking the video if you did. And if you're new around, subscribe. We'll probably be playing more short games like this. And we'll be playing more lengthy games as well. That's for sure. Oh boy, now that I think about it, if actually I'm correct with the fact that Nano Reno is approaching, we might be getting more games on each now. It's always like that. You catch up a little bit with your backlog and then it's like a machine gun of games. Not complaining for. But yeah, let's end for today. Hope you'll have a wonderful day. Go confess if you haven't confessed yet. It's better when you confess than if you are holding it back, honestly. And who knows, maybe it will end on a positive note as well. Anyway, have a wonderful day. Bye bye.